Hi, my name is Gustavo. Today we are building in the H700 TG Snow Edition. Let's get started.
The H700 is a mid-tower case that comes in either black or white. It is 18.4 inches long, 9.2 inches wide, and 18.4 inches tall. I'm going to start by removing everything that is detachable from the case to have a little more workroom. The front panel has a light-up RGB strip that is modular, so no need to worry about yanking any cables. The front tempered glass panel and rear back panel have a magnetic swing door design, so just open and lift and it should come off with ease. The I/O port is located at the top of the case. There are buttons for the power, reset, and RGB. It also has one USB 3.0, two USB 2.0s, and one headphone jack and a microphone jack. I'm removing the two stock black fans that came with the case, as I will be using them elsewhere for the time being. The case has a lot of room for storage. There are two spots at the back of the case to mount your 2.5-inch drives. There is also a drive bay where you can mount a 3.5-inch hard drive. There are 7 optional drive slots in the front. The H700 comes with 2 trays for expansion. If you would like to purchase additional trays, they will be available at our website, thermaltakeusa.com. Since I will be adding the 360 AO at the top, it is better to remove these just to have more workspace. This case comes with a GPU support bracket. It'll help brace the ends of cards that are too heavy. So for the meantime, let's just remove this bracket and we'll install it later. The accessory box can be found in the bottom hard drive. It contains screws that you'll need for the motherboard, fans, and case. It's got a couple of zip ties too, so you can clean up some of the cables. Now for some unboxing, we have a 750 watt power supply, which should be enough to power our Asus TUF Gaming 3070 Ti. I went with the MSI Pro Z690A Wi-Fi motherboard. It is a 12th gen motherboard, so it does require DDR5 memory. I have a 1TB SSD of Seagate's FireCuda 530 M.2 NVMe Gen 4. I'll be using the Pure 12 ARGB Snow Edition fans for the rear, and I'll be using the TH360 AIO ARGB Snow Edition to cool the CPU. I'm rocking Intel's 12th gen i7 12700KF 12-core 5GHz CPU. Remember to install the M.2 SSD in the first slot to get the highest speeds out of your Gen 4 SSD. We also want to make sure we remove the plastic off the heatsink to keep that SSD cool. Now for our RAM, I went with Kingston's new DDR5 Fury Beast 32GB up to 5200 MHz. Connecting cables while the power supply is attached to the case sometimes is a pain to do, so let's do that right now. Depending on what you're mounting to the case, we only need our 3 main power cables, the 24 pin for the motherboard, 1 CPU power cable, and 1 or 2 GPU power cables. Some cards require 3 GPU power connectors, so just keep that in mind. I'm also adding the SATA power connector for any hard drives that I might install. Alright, let's get these fans on the case. For this entire build, I only used 120mm fans. I went with a single ARGB fan in the rear and 3 non-RGB fans in the front. The case supports up to 3 120mm or 3 140mm fans in the front, up to 3 120 or 2 140 fans on the top, and 1 120 or 1 140 in the rear. Some motherboards come with a built-in I/O shield, but ours doesn't, so I'm going to pop that in. I'm using an ATX motherboard for this build. Any screws you may need will always come either with the case or the motherboard. At this stage, I'm plugging in all major connections to the motherboard because this area will be much harder to see or reach once I install the GPU and the AIO. If you need help, refer to your motherboard's manual for detailed instructions. Alright, now we can install the power supply. You only need 4 screws total to mount this PSU. Make sure you mount the PSU in the correct orientation so you don't block the power supply's fan. This case has a vent at the bottom, so I face my fan downwards so that heat can escape. Now for our AIO, I'm mounting this at the top, but you can also mount it in the front. Depending on what CPU you went with, either Intel or AMD, just make sure you install the correct bracket mount. Most brackets have it labeled on them for ease. The H700 supports one 280 or one 360 AIO in the front or on top. It also supports a 120 in the rear. Now the most important part, don't forget to add the thermal paste. I went with the P method, just a generous amount of thermal paste in the shape of a P and you should be fine. Now to do some cable management. Finally, we're almost there. I have the Asus TUF Gaming 3070 Ti that we're going to be installing. Simply snap the card in the PCIe slot. Make sure you hear that click so you know it's locked. Then tie in those 2 screws to the case. Now we can add the GPU support bracket to help this card not put too much weight on the motherboard. There are 4 mounting points on the case to secure the mount. We can adjust the mount vertically and horizontally depending on the height and thickness of the card. Alright, let's get it. Double check for any loose connections or anything you might have forgotten. Close this bad boy up and let's power it on. That's it for our H700 build. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks for watching.